Welcome to the first Wilderness Medicine podcast video. I'm Daryl Macias, and I host the podcast. For this first and experimental video, we're going to discuss a case report from December 2024, the journal, article entitled Catfish, Puncture Wound, and Retained Spine Management in the Emergency Department. My guests with me are Dr. Nick Weiss and Josh Markham. We're from the UNM International Mountain Medicine Center. So join us in a lively discussion about all sorts of catfish injuries, including catfishing. Hey guys, how you doing?
Great.
Doing fantastic, Daryl. What about you?
Oh man, I tell you what, I am so excited about what we're going to talk about here. We're here at the UNM School of Medicine International Mountain Medicine Center, and it's good to have you. So introduce yourself, Nick. Introduce yourself, Josh, really quick before we get going. People know me.
Yeah, that's true, Daryl. They do. My name's Nick. I'm faculty at University of New Mexico Department of Emergency Medicine. I had the pleasure of doing the fellowship in wilderness and austere medicine 2 years ago under the mentorship of Daryl here. And I've stayed on as faculty ever since. How about you, Josh?
I'm Josh. I'm the current wilderness fellow, so following in Nick's footsteps and getting to hang out here in New Mexico and travel the world and do all kinds of fun stuff this year.
Oh man, yeah, you were just in Greece, huh?
I went to Icar in Greece.
How was that?
It was incredible. Got to meet all kinds of really smart people, learn about all kinds of interesting things in the mountains, and had a really good time.
Yeah, well, and some of you might have seen Nick and my iteration of Death Valley, and when we went out to Badwater, that was so fun. And
oh yeah.
And then Russ Reinbold, that was the last interview I think we did for the Wilderness Medicine podcast.
Yeah, it's been a little while, Daryl. Thanks for the invitation back. Happy to do it again.
Oh, that's cool. Well, you know, guys, I saw this very interesting article here, and I kind of got into it a little bit, so I wanted to make sure that people knew about this. There's a case report that's coming out in the journal. Now, this is a September journal, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, but that's okay. You're going to listen to the December 2024 iteration of, here's the article, Catfish, Puncture Wound, and Retained Spine Management in the ED Setting. A case report by Carbone et al. And we're going to discuss this. But you know what, guys? I kind of got into this idea of a catfish. So, for instance, what is a catfish? And some of you may know what a catfish is. But, hey, have you ever been catfished? Do you know what that means?
Ooh, I got catfished a couple times back in 2012. I don't really want to talk about it.
Wow. You having experience with being catfished?
I am not experienced in this like Nick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the internet is a dark, dark place.
Well, basically, what this basically means is this is a play on words. So being catfished, this is a person who's a catfish refers to a person who uses these fake images. For instance, you know these dating apps now, which I have no idea. I don't need to date anymore, right? But, you know, they take this...
Well, even if you didn't, you wouldn't even need a dating app, Daryl. Let's just be honest here.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you are so oily. But anyways... So this person, the catfish, will take images, fake images of themselves to look like somebody that they're really not. And they'll try to create this new identity. They may create a new geography for, putting themselves out and maybe use it on a dating app. And what they'll try to do is they'll maybe try to steal information from the particular victim, the person being catfished. And we see this on dating apps. And we were talking about that MTV show, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was quite a seminal show for people in my generation. I mean, that was really changing the landscape of, our knowledge base. It was called Catfish, is what the show was called. Yeah, one and the same. But let me tell you, I think the true victim here is the actual, the fish catfish. I mean, think about these guys. Their name has been ruined. I mean, they used to just be a great, fun pastime to go fishing, a great dish to enjoy, whether, deep fat fried or blackened. But now, I mean, the reputation is tarnished after this show.
Oh man! Yeah. So maybe the real people who fish for real catfish, the fish species, are not going to do it because they're afraid of getting catfished by some unsuspecting person. I was actually watching that MTV thing, right? So that was a documentary, and then they had this catfish TV series on MTV after, and the dude who got catfished by this false girl, he decided to make, I guess, a documentary and do these series, and he'd interview other people that were catfished and the people who were the catfish. And there was this one episode, this is crazy, this innocent gal, she's probably about 18 or something like that. She just like sees this guy, this image of this guy. He's just, 6'6" hunk, beautiful guy. And she says, oh man, I love this guy. And, this guy initially initiated the contact, and then it just kind of went on. And she kind of fell in love with this guy, even though it was virtual, it was online.
Yeah, it's easy to do. People are emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah, and then she got a text from him saying, my mother is sick and she's in the hospital and they need money. And she, I guess, gave the guy a couple $1,000s. I mean, this is nuts.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then the Catfish documentary crew ends up saying, hey, let's go see this guy, because evidently he had refused her advances to either meet on video. That's easy to do, FaceTime, something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And so they said, well, let's meet this guy in person. Somehow they got the guy to agree. He comes out of the door. He does not look like this handsome guy that was portrayed in this image. He looked totally opposite what you can imagine. I won't, say what he looked like, but it was not pretty.
Whoa.
You should have seen her face. But, I mean, that could be used to cyberbully people,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Totally.
But we don't want to go into the weeds,
So to speak.
I mean, we could if you want.
That's where the catfish are.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've never been catfished. Once a long time ago when I was living in Vegas, I actually went on a blind date, and a person, it was a little different, but it was fine. But, that's just crazy. But now I'm just... Yeah, I don't know if you've done these dating apps, but I'd stay away from them because you're going to get catfish, baby.
Ew.
Yeah. But this article is kind of interesting here. And, do you guys fish?
No, the sad thing is my father is a huge fisherman, always wanted me to join him, and I can't do it. I can't sit still for that long. It's just... The monotony of I just can't do it. People find it relaxing. I find it to be torturous. I cannot fish. But perhaps it's because I haven't tried noodling. Now that sounds like where the action is. So maybe I could get turned on to that.
Unfortunately, you can't noodle here in New Mexico. Do you know that?
Is that just because there's not catfish holes in the
river?
What is noodling?
Illegal?
What is noodling?
Oh, good point. We should back up here.
Yeah, but we'll explain.
Let's back up here.
Because there's a couple definitions for catfish noodling.
Well, I guess I could say what I understand it to be, and I did get a little bit of intel last weekend. I was in Durango, ran into some fellas from Oklahoma who started telling me about noodling. So this is kind of a coincidence, but essentially what I understand is these catfish make burrows or holes in the side of riverbanks, in freshwater or brackish water riverbanks in North America, but in other places as well, obviously. Effectively, you jam your arm in this hole and you feel around for them, and once you feel them, the goal is to then, I believe, put your hand through the mouth, out the gills, hook them, and then be able to extract them out of this hole. And you could see this could be fraught with issues, but I think that's the basic premise. Is that correct?
I think so. In fact, when I looked at this article, I had heard somebody name the Catfish Lady or Catfish Girl, and she's a big Instagram influencer. And I looked at her profile and her videos, and I'm like, dang. This lady, I mean, she probably weighs, 110 pounds. She's well built. You know, she's an influencer, so she has that beauty aspect going on.
Which some of these catfish can be around 90 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So these are effectively maybe similar size. That's
crazy.
And
people can get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You could drown, all this other stuff. And this lady takes these catfish down. It's, that would get bigger men down. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
We got him, boys.
He wasn't wanting to stay in there too good.
Oh, he blew out. That's the only reason we got him. Thank you.
Hey, it's slippery.
We got him. Look where he bit me on the leg.
Yeah, where did he bite you?
Dang, he was way up here on it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That thing is ginormous.
But
Yeah.
Catfish noodling, this is interesting because you can actually, in the social media term, catfish noodling means you're kind of a catfish, but you're making a big joke out of it. So you're kind of a jokester. You're pulling a prank. So it's not meant to intimidate, embarrass, or lure somebody into falsehood, kind of like what we talked about being catfish. But catfish noodling. And kitten fishing, this is something that I kitten fishing, yeah. Whoa. It's kind of like, I guess it's a lighter form of catfishing, I guess. I don't know, but I don't swim for kittens. But now, do you fish though? Have you fished?
Very little.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as Nick.
So I actually like fly fishing trout because you have to move around. There's a little gamesmanship, and I've actually noodled trout, just as part of the survival courses I teach.
Is that illegal, noodling trout?
Well, I guess it's illegal in New Mexico. Heck, I didn't know.
Yeah,
anytime you catch something with it's like 14 states that you can get a fish with just using your hand, not using a line or a bow or something like that.
It seems less like invasive to the fish. You're not hooking them with something. Why would handling them be illegal when you can fish them with a hook? I don't get that one.
I know, and it's
I looked this up a little bit, and I'm not entirely sure, but I think some of it is because a lot of the time, at least for the catfish, they're in their dens and they're breeding, and so that's where their eggs are. They're
catfishing one another.
Yeah, so it's kind of disruptive to their life cycle. Is at least a theory. I think it's also harder to regulate, right? Because you don't have someone with a rod.
Yeah, that could be alarming if they're in the middle of that scenario and you were to apprehend them. I can see that's not from a conservation standpoint. I could see why noodling could be a problem.
Oh man,
let's just say that.
On the note of trout, I did look up a little more. Apparently, there's something called trout tickling.
Okay, what is that?
So this is another. Illegal in New Mexico. Sorry.
Illegal in New Mexico. Okay, man.
We just don't get to have any fun here.
Yeah.
Instead of going into their den, when the trout gets tired, it goes under a rock, and apparently you can reach under, tickle its belly. It goes into a trance, and you can just pull it out of the water.
Whoa.
I should have tried that.
Trance, huh?
A trance, huh?
That's what the internet says. The internet never lies.
Jeez, that is true.
I think I could set up a Burning Man camp where we go tickle the trout and put them in a trance and listen to trance music. I don't know.
Eagle eye.
Wow, that's crazy.
Good stuff. Okay, but
you're talking about hillbilly hand fishing?
Oh yeah. So
trout tickling.
So there's a Wikipedia page. Hillbilly hand fishing is trying to bring glory back to the catfish that the MTV show kind of lost them. Hillbilly hand fishing was a TV show on Animal Planet back in the day. Where they did some noodling, I believe.
I like that. So there's individuals out there trying to restore the catfish to their former glory. I like that. That's good, man. That's good. I'm all about it.
Dudes, I can't even eat catfish. You know why? Because you pull it out. I've got catfish before, and it's like, this thing is slimy, and you eat the meat. It's like sticky. I hate eating sticky fish,
Really? What? You ever had it deep fat fried, though?
Yeah, fried catfish.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I guess I'm missing out.
It's hard to beat, man. Yeah, you got to get some of that.
You have to convince me. But these babies are big. I mean, one time I was in, you know where Elephant Butte is, southern New Mexico, huge lake?
Yeah.
I was scuba diving in there, and the visibility was horrible. It's like maybe 10 feet, and it's kind of muddy, it's kind of clear, but it's warm, and catfish evidently like warm water.
Yeah.
And so I'm just swimming, and there's this big monster, and I mean, the thing scared me. It was like a shark. I didn't know they had sharks down there, but it was a big catfish. And I was reading... There's this one catfish I guess they caught in Italy last year in 2023, and it was 9 feet long, about 3 meters long. That sucker weighed 280 pounds.
Jeez. Wow.
127 kilos.
This was like in a river, or is this like swimming around brackish water? Or
somewhere in Italy. I don't know.
Jeez.
Probably brackish water. And I think
that's wild.
I think we have these. I think they're called blue catfish here in the States. A few types of catfish that we have. Yeah. And, they've gotten to be, 5 feet long, 140 pounds. I mean, they're big.
Yeah.
In South America, check this out. I remember reading in the old Auerbach wilderness medicine textbook about these little fish called candiru.
Candiru?
Yeah, they're in the Amazon, and they'll actually swim up your urethra. That's bad. They're a type of catfish, candiru.
Whoa.
So don't go peeing in the Amazon and swimming, or use a plug.
they make plugs for that sort of thing?
I don't know. If anybody is from South America, please inform us. Let's get to this article. This is going way off the rails. Okay, do you have any information for us?
So
that was too much TMI
we may
already.
have lost some viewership here, or some audio ship, or however you would say
I think
it.
this is going to be the next MTV show.
That's true. Let's just roll it out.
Yeah, the WMP
let's
MTV.
do it.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so this article is a case report, pretty interesting one, relating to a catfish injury in, of all places, Pennsylvania, which is a little unusual. It's not really thought of as a place that, at least I don't think of it as a place with a ton of water sport. But this lady, she was 76, I believe, and was doing some catfishing, and got
fun for all ages.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
It doesn't discriminate with age.
And she got this picture that Daryl's showing. She got a spine from the catfish in her thigh. Apparently it's apparently
Catfish have spines? I didn't know that.
They have 3 spines, it seems.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they have, some of them I think have some toxin, some venom in their spines as well.
I heard about that. It's like it could be hemolytic or proteolytic venom. That's pretty wild. I did not anticipate that.
So not only are they slimy, but they're poisonous.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat it.
No.
I'm not eating that.
Yeah, so this poor lady got a spine that got stuck, I think it was a couple centimeters long, got stuck in her thigh. It took, I think she first tried to get it out herself. She went to an urgent care, wasn't able to get it out there. They irrigated it, treated her as best they could, and sent her to an ER. It took 6 hours by the time she got to the ER and got treated before they were able to treat her and get this spine out. Kind of the first thing they did, I think, was after making sure she was stable generally, is take an X-ray, and they were able, like Daryl was showing, you can see that spine on the X-ray, which is handy.
Yeah. Definitely.
And they used X-ray, but not ultrasound.
Correct. I think that you could see this on ultrasound as well.
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
Definitely.
it had enough resolution. Yep. Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And then they were able to get the spine out. Actually, it sounds like these spines can be barbed, so they can be kind of hard
serrated,
to get out.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. So they had to, like in this case, they had to excise it, right?
Yeah. So they injected with a mixture of lidocaine. They specifically did without epi, so that you wouldn't get that local. You let the toxins continue to distribute.
Okay, gotcha.
And then they buffered it with bicarb, sodium bicarb.
Now, why would sodium bicarb help?
So I think it changes the pH, and so that can help inactivate the toxin.
Interesting. That's right. Yeah, it's pretty acidic. I was reading the venom is.
The venom's acidic, so you neutralize it with the bicarb, and that
makes sense.
Yeah, potency's affected. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they also, if I remember right, they did some heat as well, some warm water, like 45, 50 degrees. Or at least that's one of the recommendations, because it can inactivate the toxin as well.
Kind of like what we do in marine medicine with some of the jellyfish or urchins or a
lot of it is
stonefish.
Yep, other slimy marine
Right.
creatures.
Yeah, squirrelfish. No, there's some evil-looking fish out there in the ocean. But anyways,
ocean's kind of scary.
Did that work? That using heat on the affected area, or does that work? Has that been proven? Do you know?
I don't know if it's been proven, but it is kind of the general, when I looked up some other spots, it looks like that's the general recommendation, is using heat to, particularly for catfish. It can help inactivate the toxin. You can leave it there for half an hour to an hour and a half, and can help a fair amount. And I think some of the other, like you're saying, some of the other fish with venom, like stonefish.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, same. I couldn't find any information to back it up, but yeah, that's general recommendations kind of everywhere you look. Everybody's like, yeah, do this. Yeah. Up to 113 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Celsius. Yeah, put the affected extremity in there, 30-60 minutes. I think it's maybe the toxin's heat labile, but
right.
I could not. Yeah, did you see anything specifically that says this works?
I actually didn't look at this information. I looked at another weird case article, and you might be familiar with this. There's this article by Haddad and Auerbach back in, was it 07 or it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a little while ago.
Yeah, but anyways, it's titled "Marine Catfish Sting Causing Fatal Heart Perforation in a Fisherman." That's crazy.
This was a super bizarre and super unfortunate case. I think that they've recorded now 2 of these potentially, and there's been a couple that have been related to barbs from other types of stingrays.
Stingrays. Yeah, it's also heat as well.
Stingrays.
It's a pretty famous one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin, yeah. Right through the heart.
Crazy.
Poor guy.
But this one was a case report of a 39-year-old fisherman down in Brazil, actually. This gentleman was outside the boat, was collecting a net full of all sorts of different kind of fish. They think that there was a snake catfish in this bundle of fish he was gathering, which is a pretty common fish that they'll get down there.
Yeah. Snake catfish.
As he was trying to bring the net to the boat, they think that he was actually injured by one of the spines on these fish because they noticed a sort of a penetrating wound there after the fact. But anyways, he reported to his colleagues that he did not feel well as he was trying to reel in this net. About 1 to 2 minutes later, he kind of had this period where he was struggling in the water, and then he actually submerged only for a brief moment in time. His colleagues were able to pull him out almost immediately, so they don't think that he had any evidence of a drowning injury. They brought him on board, and shortly thereafter, he died. When the police came on scene, and then when the autopsy was done, they actually found that he had evidence of something puncturing him in the chest. On autopsy, it actually looked like it pierced the left ventricle. And it looked like he had a large left hemothorax, actually. No evidence of like tamponade or a pericardial effusion, because the actual device, they think again was the spine, perforated the pericardium as well. So they think he basically bled into his chest, probably died from tension physiology there on the boat. He died within a matter of minutes. So that kind of makes sense, and the autopsy is very consistent with this actually being a spine from a catfish doing this. So pretty serious trauma, potential with these things.
Yeah, they got a picture of this guy, his body there. You can't see it on the screen, but if you pull it up, that's just crazy. I mean, it's
not a very big injury. Like the picture doesn't show much. You'd expect it to be a lot bloodier, a lot bigger of a mess, something.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And these fish, their spines aren't huge. I mean, the snake the snake catfish gets up to about 35 centimeters in length. So these, spines might be a few centimeters, but they're super sharp and serrated. And so, coming at the right angle with maybe the pressure of other fish in the net, there as he's gathering it in was just the right combination, unfortunately, to do this. So there's actually one recommendation they make here is if you think that somebody's pericardium has been pierced by one of these, actually, and it's still in there, don't remove it because you may be able to limit the amount of bleeding if you leave the projectile or the object in there rather than pull it out right on scene. That's kind of like one of the recommendations they have in the paper.
I guess that makes sense because I don't know if you've seen these open thoracotomies, but I remember doing one because our trauma service wasn't around, and basically this guy had a penetrating injury, and the implement actually came out as we were performing the procedure, and I had to stick my finger in the hole in the dike, literally. But these people, something like that injury, that's not going to do well. And unfortunately, this guy that I had passed away. But what are they recommending as far as like treatment in this article of this month, or do you have any other insight with regard to treatment?
Yeah, so the big thing that we have the heat, submerge in hot water, and then the rest of it is supportive care, at least for the pain and symptoms going on. They recommend, of course, life-saving tetanus always, and then antibiotics, depending. In this case, because I think it was in there for a while, it was a pretty large object. They gave antibiotics, which I think is the recommendation in certain cases. I think they did levofloxacin.
Yeah, correct.
And I think Up to Date recommends maybe also adding in some cephalexin.
Yeah, it looks like the big bugs you got to worry about. And these ones are certainly your staph and strep, but then with it being water related, your Vibrio, your Aeromonas, and your Pseudomonas.
Right.
So yeah, the fluoroquinolones are a good oral option, and then they do recommend if they fail with oral therapy, then you got to actually bring out some big guns. They kind of recommend IV antibiotics in those cases. So they want an IV tetracycline, a beta-lactamase, stable beta-lactam antibiotic, and an aminoglycoside potentially if the tetracycline and the beta-lactamase antibiotic don't actually work.
So yeah, if we're talking about things like Vibrio, or we're talking about Pseudomonas, Aeromonas is kind of a Pseudomonas, and that is prolific in seawater. Also, from what I understand, they might have to be put on something like ceftazidime or Zosyn or something like that.
Yeah.
Was this lady admitted, I guess, for antibiotics afterwards? How did she do?
She did great, actually. Yeah, she got outpatient oral antibiotics. They checked in on her, I think, at the end of her antibiotic course, and she was doing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they checked on her. Yeah, 10 days later, she was doing great.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, and obviously we can treat the staph and the strep and those sort of things. We're pretty used to that. So, well, that's pretty interesting, folks. Well, I guess then I'm not going to take up any catfish noodling like the catfish lady. How about you guys? You into it?
I might give it a fair shake. I was kind of trash talking how boring fishing is, but I have not tried noodling, so maybe that's what I need to do. So you know what? I might join up with my boys from Oklahoma I met over the weekend and get out there, man. That's kind of my plans. What about you, Josh?
I think the trout tickling sounds safer. I might go for
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think I'm going to stick with hunting, bow hunting. So sorry, guys. Well,
Hey, to each their own, Daryl. That's all right.
well, it's been good talking to you guys, and hey, I like your water bottle. It's got the little Buc-ee's.
Oh yeah.
What's up with
Gotta
that?
represent.
Show
just
people the Buc-ee's. What is that?
Finest gas station in the lower 48 for sure. You might hear people talk about this place, and myself included. I thought this place was way overamped, people are way too excited about this thing. But let me tell you, I mean, they've got like 200 gas pumps, but that's just the beginning. Then you walk into this place, and they've got walls and walls of jerky. They've got beaver nuggets. They've got
Beaver
oh my gosh.
nuggets.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you don't know what they are, you probably can't afford them. But let me tell you, man, the fudge this place has, the cleanest bathrooms. Oh man, I could go on and on.
Well, that's okay. Well, so it's a plug for Buc-ee's. I don't know, but yeah. Well, I guess we're done.
Yeah.
Good job, you guys. We'll see you again from the UNM IMMC, and arrivederci.
Adios.